Welcome back, guys. This is HR4 Racing. Last video we raced at Mountain View for a points race, and our right front spring cup on our jack bolt failed. In this video we're going to be talking about why that happened, and we're going to be fixing it, and we're also going to work on a little fuel pressure issues we've been having, and we'll talk all about that. So it's gonna be really interesting stuff, so stick around and we'll see what we can get into. It'll just be me in this video, I think, mostly. Chase is out of town with his job, so he'll be away for a few days. So just gonna be me. But here is the spring cup right there. It has sunk down in the spring, and that actually lowered the right front an inch with our ride height. That's how I noticed that something was going on, and I checked it. So I'm gonna get it apart, and then we'll look at it and we'll talk about why it happened. All right, let's get this shock out of the way. Yeah. I think I gotta use a hand ratchet on this. I used to be able to get the impact on it, but we added this heat shield here as our headers get real close right there, and to protect our fuel line. And it's a good thing too, because you feel that when the car's running, that daggone heat shield gets hotter than a firecracker, man. But the line stays cool as a cucumber, you know. There we go. If you haven't ever watched our channel before, and you're wondering what this engine is, it's a Chrysler engine. It's a 318. We run Mopar. I'm just kind of marking where my control arm is. I found the best way to get this spring out without really messing with anything too much is to just take the control arm loose right there, and then just lay the whole thing back. These bolts or these holes are tight on these bolts. It catches on threads. So good. There we go. I gotta catch all these washers. Then I got the A-frame spaced back, you know, for my camber. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Now you just gotta jack it up high enough to get it over the thing there. Yeah, come on, baby. Picking the car up. There we go. Now, just gotta let it down without getting hit in the head with a spring. See there? That spring's even stuck in there, man. Crazy, huh? Let's see if we can just take it. I think I can push that in. I guess it's probably in a bind where it's... There we go. All right. Okay. Now let's see if we can get this off. A good way to remember where you was at so you can get back right, you know, close. You can just count the threads. That's what I do. Like there's 2 threads there at the top here, you know. So anyhow, I want to pull this out because I think it's bent, but I might be able to straighten it. I put a nut on the bottom also on this to try to support it more, man, because this is I had a different one jack bolt in here and it bent too. And I thought, well, if I put that nut on there and tighten it up, that'd be another inch that it's kind of giving it support. But I can't tell if this is bent or not. I'll pull it out and look at it. Oh, I guess I could spin it, huh? It's definitely bent. It's definitely bent a little bit. It's bent right here. But I might straighten it. Let's see if this nut will run down to where it's bent. I think if I put this nut in the center and where it's bent, and you can see where it's bent because it won't go any farther. I think I could put a nut on both sides and just put the nuts turned the same way, and then wherever it sets and it don't touch, then I'll know where it's bent, you know what I'm saying? And then I might set it in my press and bend it back. So let's see if I can figure that out. Okay, so you can see it's definitely bent like that. So I'm going to mark it right there and flip it over like that. And when I get down here, I can see a gap between it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna slide these over like this. That way I can push down on this nut where the bend is. I know it's right there because the nut will only go that far. And I'm gonna try to straighten it. The way I see it, if I can get it straight where the nut will screw down on it, then I can say it's straight, I'm thinking. Okay, let's let the pressure off and see if it goes back. It's screwed on there a little bit farther. Let's see what it looks like now. That's as far as it would screw. It's right there and you see it's bent. So let's flip it over and I can see a gap. And we'll try it again. See if we can straighten it some more. Now I can screw it no problem all the way across there. No problem. Catches a little bit right there. So I'm gonna see if it's doing anything crazy. It's bent a little bit right there. So that's hard to mark. I mean, that's hard to know where to go. Let's see, let me hold my finger right there. There we go. All right, let's try it right there a little bit. I'm gonna say that's good. It's not noticeably crooked now. Spins pretty good. The nut spins freely on it, so I'm gonna say that's good. Now let's look at the cup. That baby's lodged in there, man. Woo! That got it. Dang, man. I don't know, but I just don't feel like that could have been good for the handling of the car, you know. But let's stick this in the press and see what happens now. That's kind of fun. All right, let's see what this will do. It's bending and straightening. I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get it. It'll work as a spare, you know what I mean? But I'm not gonna run it like that. No way. No way. But anyhow, I tried. All right, now that we have straightened all that, now let's talk about why it failed. There are several things going on that was wrong that led to the failure. We actually had a failure before this race with our other jack bolt. This was our jack bolt we did have in, and I don't know if you can tell, but the bolt is bent, and that's why we got the other jack bolt. So first of all, the biggest issue, and this is the reason that the jack bolt bent on this one, also the reason the jack bolt bent on the other one. All right, so the spring, the coil spring, it has a top and bottom. Notice how this is just round and it spirals up. The actual coil is round. This side is flat, and it stays pretty level across here. This side is not level across here. It's not level. It's slanted. So we had the coil spring in upside down and didn't realize it. So what that done, since it was sitting on a spring unlevel, it made, when it pressed the spring down where it's unlevel, it pushed the spring sideways like that, which in turn put it in a bind and pushed the jack bolt sideways, bent the jack bolt. Okay, so that's part of the problem. Okay, here is the other problem. When we got the new jack bolt and cup, this cup, I'm gonna flip it upside down so you can see the difference. Easier to tell. This cup is quite a bit smaller. Notice you can see the edges of the coil, okay, all the way around. Then this one, it is quite a bit bigger. It doesn't look like it's a huge problem on that side, but when you put it on this side, it becomes a huge problem. Because not only does it come right at the edge of the center of it, of the coil, it's slanted down, which caused it to slide like this, and then caused it to drop down in the spring. And that's why the cup bent down in the spring. This cup is actually too small. This cup is for a 5-inch spring. This cup is for a 5.5-inch spring. Okay, which brings me to the other issue. These lower control arms are for a 5-inch spring. The spring is a lot bigger and sloppier in here, which didn't help things, because when you have too big of a spring, it allows it to shift even worse. You know, whenever the spring is pushing this way on top and bent over, it's even letting it flex, slide this way even worse. It's not really centered up. But now we have a 5-inch spring, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Here's our other cup. Will not even fit in a 5-inch spring. Okay, it is for 5.5-inch spring. See, fits great. No way it's going to slip down in there, especially when the spring's turned correctly. Here's a 5-inch cup. You see how well it fits this spring. And you see how well this 5-inch spring fits this bucket down here. So we had several issues going on there, going against us, which ultimately caused to which could have been a very bad failure. Luckily, it hung in there. Friend finished the race and didn't get worse. But pay attention to that stuff. You know, that's a rookie mistake by us, considering I guess we are rookies with these cars. This is our first year with a metric chassis, and we're learning. We've never even run a coil spring car before, so we're learning. But you know, that's the best way to learn is through failures. It's not the ideal way because it sucks, but ultimately you will learn that way. So, but anyhow, let's move on to our next thing. We're going to start looking at our fuel volume and pressure. Okay, fuel volume versus pressure. Since we have swapped to E85, we have struggled to get the correct amount of volume consistently to our carburetor or to our engine. E85 takes more volume than 110. You need the same pressure. Pressure and volume are completely different things, you know. I've had question after question, people wondering, they say this, they say that. So I'm going to show you in a quick clip from the last race. I'll zoom it in on the fuel pressure gauge, and underneath the gauge there's a light, so you can pay attention to the light. In the hot laps, I'm going to show you what this is. This is what we've struggled with the entire year. There was actually a caution in hot laps. He ran like 1 or 2 laps, and then there's caution, and then he run the rest of the lap. I'm going to show you the first couple laps, and you can watch the fuel gauge, and then when he restarts on the rest of it, you can watch the fuel gauge, and you can see what we have struggled with. Alright, watch the gauge the arrow's pointing at, and also watch for a warning light under the gauge. Notice how it's not keeping steady pressure at all. It keeps falling out, and the warning light is staying steadily on the whole time. Alright, now watch this next set of laps and notice the difference. The fuel pressure is holding steady now. It's not dropping like it was before. It's staying pretty decent. And notice the warning light isn't coming on at all this time. Alright, so that's what we've fought all year long. And all year long it has hurt him in qualifying. Obviously, if you start to run out of fuel, you know, you're going to lose on speed. So, and it's always in the hot laps, and it's always when he first gets on it, and then it kind of smooths out, levels out, and as the night goes on, it's okay. It's not really a problem. And we have done a lot of different things to try to figure it out, to try to fix the problem. And here are all the things that we have done so far. All right, so first of all, we have got the best fuel pump that is available for a Chrysler. Carter makes it. It is a 120 gallon per hour fuel pump. The problem is that it's not quite enough to run an E85 system, sort of. Like it's like right there borderline, you know. And these only have 1/4 inch inlet and outlets. Most of your, all of your bigger fuel pumps, higher volume fuel pumps that are for Ford, Chevrolet, are going to have bigger inlet and outlets, significantly bigger, and their gallons per hour are higher, you know, anywhere 130 and up. That's what you want to shoot for, 130 and up to supply E85 for a built engine. 602 you can probably get by on, I'm sure. I know some guys are doing it. But anyhow, and that one's like a 7.5 to 9.5 fuel pump that requires a regulator. So the second thing that we did is we upgraded our fuel lines to a 10 AN supplying the fuel pump and an 8 AN from the fuel pump to the carburetor. And this, by the way, was all before we even attempted to run a race with the E85. So now we have the best fuel pump available and the recommended size lines to supply the E85. We run it, and the outcome is exactly what you've seen in the clip that I showed you. And that's where it all began on hey, we got a problem, let's keep working on it, try to fix it. So the only thing that made sense to us at the time that the fuel pressure would get better after a few laps was that the fuel was sitting there getting hot and it was borderline vapor lock, and a lot of the fuel was evaporating, since how E85 evaporates really easily, so you got to keep it cool. That's what we was thinking was happening, and after you started running it, it would get the cooler fuel up circulating, and then it'd level out and be fine. And as the night went on, it was cooler, you know. That was our thoughts. So we did everything we could to try to keep the fuel cool. We wrapped our entire fuel line with header wrap. You can see the entire thing is wrapped with header wrap all the way back. And we also put this heat shield in here to protect from the header. The header gets real close right here. And so we tried that. Still same outcome. All right, so now at this point, we're looking at other ways that would cause the fuel to heat up. One big way is restrictions. So we started looking at every place that could be a restriction. All our fittings, some of them was like sharp 90s, not free-flowing 90s, not non-restricting 90s, so we eliminated that problem. You can see one of them right here. This is a non-restricting 90, and then we tried it like that, and still the exact same result. With still the same problem, we started looking at other means of restrictions. One thing that will really restrict a fuel pump is if your filter is all the way in the back, and that pump is sucking that fuel from a long distance, and just the process of trying to suck that fuel up through the line is a friction that causes heat, and a lot of times will cause a vapor lock. So we tried, actually in the last race, we put a fuel filter actually in between the fuel pump and our carburetor, actually in between the fuel pump and our regulator. And it was a smaller fuel filter. This is something we wanted to try because they say the best place on a mechanical fuel pump is to put it to where the fuel pump's pushing the pressure through the filter. They say it's way easier on the fuel pump, and even if not only that, if you're sucking with the fuel pump and it's overworking the fuel pump, it makes the fuel pump itself even get hot and even fail. So we tried that, and as you've seen in the video, it did not work when he first got on the throttle, and in that first caution, up till that first caution. But after that, the fuel pressure was actually fairly good after that. But initially, when he hit the throttle, and on the up till that first caution, it did not work. So right after the hot laps, we pulled that filter out, put everything exactly like it was before, and you know, it ran fine for the feature race. We didn't know for sure about that filter anyway. It's one we run on the other car, and it was a lot smaller filter. So I don't know if that was the best thing to try. I just wanted to see how the car reacted to it. So from that though, I believe now I know exactly what the problem is from all we've learned from everything we've done. And I'm not going to fully go at it. I'm going to kind of half go at it for this next race, just because I don't, going at it full on may really bite us. I know if I go on it halfway, that will be fine. It's either going to be really good or the same. So here's what we're going to do and what we think the problem is. All right, so what we believe the problem is our supply line, or fuel line coming from the tank to the pump, is actually too big for our fuel pump. I don't think our fuel pump is big enough to keep up with that big of a fuel line. So what that will cause is when you first get on the throttle and hit it hard, it's going to take gas all at once real hard. So in order to keep that pressure build that pressure, it has to first build the pressure in the supply line and build that pressure all the way up to the carburetor to get your pressure up. Until that happens, until it backs that pressure up, your pressure is going to drop. It's got to fill that big line all the way up before it starts building pressure. And when it pulls that line down, there's no pressure. You know what I'm saying? Until it fills completely up, only then will it start building pressure. So he first hits the throttle, it goes down, and then it's got to fill this huge line up, and this little bitty fuel pump with these 1/4-inch MPT inlet and outlets cannot fill that line fast enough, so it's slow to build pressure. It'll run the engine, and that's why it's fine in the feature. You know, is in the biggest difference between the hot laps, running a heat race, running a feature, is in the hot laps you go out, you know, you don't really have time to start getting on it, you know. When you go out in a feature, before you even start the race, you're wrapping the engine up, you're spinning your tires, you know. Even before you take the green flag, you're on the brake hard and holding the engine back up and getting the RPMs up as high as you can. In the process of that, it's filling that line up and building pressure. So when he gets on that throttle, he's already way ahead with the fuel pump. So it don't really get behind. It might try to get behind a little bit, but it's good. It's there, you know. It's not really hurting it nearly as bad as in the hot laps. When he just goes out, hammers down, not to mention the track is hammered down then. As the night goes on, the track is slicker and slicker, and you're not on the throttle nearly as hard. So you're able to keep that pressure up without getting behind. And I really, truly believe that's what it is. So what we're gonna first do before we go to the smaller line, and this is the reason, is because what we're doing right now is actually safe. It's not, it may hurt you a little bit, but it's safe. You're still getting fuel. You're just getting it a little bit slow initially. When you first get it on it, it's a little bit slower to build the pressure, but you're getting fuel. Okay, maybe not as much fuel as you want, but it ain't like you're just leaning out and, you know, completely. So what I'm going to do, the fuel filter right now is in the back. I'm going to take our line coming off the fuel tank. I'm going to move that. It's like 30 inches long, something like that. I'm going to move it to the front coming off fuel pump and put our filter like, you know, 2 feet from the fuel pump, and then use our longer line and go back to the fuel tank just to get the fuel filter up closer, which just that in turn will help the pump be a little bit stronger. The other thing I want to do is this filter we that we are running right now. There's no part numbers on it, but if you look up this filter, these things normally come with like a 45 micron filter, and they have one for E85 that's 140 microns, which is this one right here. So microns, the higher the number, the coarser the filter. It lets bigger particles through, so it's going to let fuel come through easier. It's going to come through easier, and it's not going to stop up as quickly. One big thing for restriction is having a smaller filter and the particles starting to stop it up, and then you got a serious restriction there. Not to mention on dynos, just changing from higher microns makes a big difference in pressure. You can get like 2 pounds extra pressure. So I'm going to try this, seeing as how it's for E85 anyway. And I've asked my carburetor guy. He says the carburetor, everything in an E85 carburetor is bigger. So even if you're letting bigger particles through, it's more likely to pass through and not affect your carburetor. So that should relieve the fuel pump. I don't know what the filter we already running is. I'm just going by chance. And if anything, it'll be the same as it was and we'll be fine, But if it's, if I would to go ahead and switch to the 8AN line completely, and it just completely bottoms out and leans out, then we're in, some problems. We could potentially damage the engine, and it's going to be a big deal to swap all that back out at the track too. So we're going to play it safe for this big race, because it's an important race. And then we will try, if it don't work, we'll try the 8AN line somewhere safe, maybe at a practice day or something like that. So anyhow, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the line around and put this filter in. All right, so here's my short line that I just got off. That's going to screw on to the fuel pump like that. That's another non-restricting fitting, by the way. So I've got to unhook the long line and move it back a couple feet so I can screw it into the fuel tank. The way I'm going to do it so I don't lose all my fuel everywhere, I made up these two little things with a plug in them to screw the line onto on each side. See, that way I don't lose all my fuel and make a mess, and it'd be a big disaster, and I hate myself. So let's get that done. Now I got to get my fuel filter in place and get the line coming off the fuel pump hooked up to it. That way I'll know how far to pull my line backwards that's going to be hooked to the tank. So first I got to put my fuel filter in. This is the new one. This is the old one, and they do look different. So I'm hopeful that this one is a 45 and this one, I know this one's a 140. So these fuel filters, people say you can run them either way, and they will work either way, but there is a correct way. Okay, so I go ahead and mark on there the back and the front because the canisters, there's no difference in it, but there's a difference in the way you put the filter in. So I've got the back marked right here. So the spring goes toward the back, okay, toward the fuel tank. Now the filter, one side has a hole in it, one side is solid. The solid side goes toward the spring and toward the fuel tank. And that's important because that spring will hold the solid side away from your inlet, okay? That way it don't close off the flow. You could put it this way, or run it, no matter what, that's got to go toward the spring. But you could run it backwards and have it toward the front. But the problem with doing that is the front is sucking, okay? So that can, if that filter starts to get hard to suck through, it can suck that spring down and actually close off your flow, and you won't have no fuel at all. So the solid side, the closed side, and the spring side is supposed to go toward the fuel tank. And then also what that does, okay, this is going to seal right here on the outlet. And what that's going to do is all your dirt will catch in the can, and the fuel will have to go through the filter and then come out from the inside of the filter to exit. That way all your dirt is caught in the can. If you have it turned the other way and the open side to the tank, which some people says it don't matter, it does matter. Because now all your dirt is getting trapped inside the filter, because it goes inside the filter and through into your can. That's not the way these filters are supposed to work, okay? It's all your dirt is supposed to get caught in the can, not inside your filter. So it's important to do it correctly. All right, so got the fuel filter mounted right here. I got mounted with clamps. Got the fuel line hooked up on this side. Still got to pull this one back and hook it up. Not the ideal place you'd want to put a fuel filter. You'd probably want it inside your wind tunnel. Would probably be the best place. But we're trying something with this to see if it works. Maybe eventually we'll move it back just a little bit farther. But anyhow, we are going to, or I am going to try to get this other fuel line right here back a couple feet so I can hook it on, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. All right, guys, I got it on there. I got it all pulled back on the tank. I'll show you. There it is on the tank. And I've got it all zipped up, tied up all the way down through there. And it Looks good, man. Looks real good. I've got my new spring here already, but I'm waiting on the cup. But you seen what the deal is with that. All I gotta do is put it back together, and hopefully this fuel deal will work out. Still got a lot to do. I gotta scale it. I gotta do tires. I got to do my engine maintenance, which is I need to change the oil, the filter, check the lash. I'm gonna do a leak down test on it. It's time for me to do a leak down test. So I got a lot to do before the next race, but I'll get it done and have ready when Chase gets here, and we'll be racing that big race next weekend. It's gonna be 1,500 to win, and it pays big throughout the field. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of street stock there, and it's gonna be a pretty big race. And they're doing a trunk or treat for the kids. The kids get to come over in the pits and go from race car to race car. We're gonna be handing out candy and stuff like that, you know. So it's gonna be a pretty cool night. But hopefully you found this video interesting. If you did, man, subscribe, because this is kind of what this channel is about. We do all our own work. We're not rich, you know. We have to make by how we can make by. So it's about learning, and maybe you can learn with us and help us learn. So feel free to comment anything you like. We're very open-minded and love to listen. So anyhow, with that said, as always, thank you to our sponsors, El Toro, PPM. Thank you to the Hughes family. Thank you to our friends and family. And be watching for the next video out, because it's going to be a big race. But anyhow, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.